needs a whole team of Rangers when you've got one Ranger on the mound? Welcome into PHLY Phillies podcast. Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington here. We'll be having Jim Salisbury joining us halfway through the show at 11:30. And you like that? You like what I did there?
Yeah. There's a lot of Ranger puns going around.
I know, but I wanted to keep it simple. You know, I don't want to overthink it. Ranger Suarez is, of course, the man of the hour, without a doubt.
He's good.
Looking at his historic start, we'll talk about that. We'll get into the RBI leader across Major League Baseball and Alec Bohm, talk through Bryce Harper.
Are you okay? Are you going to be okay today? I know.
So here's
Marcell Ozuna, your man, lost his RBI lead again last night. Did you sleep okay?
I've had a lot of revelations in the last 24 hours since I accidentally exposed myself on the show.
As a huge Marcell Ozuna fan of all people.
Because one, I had the realization that if anybody missed it yesterday, I may or may not have got caught celebrating when it was mentioned that Marcell Ozuna was at the time leading the league in RBIs. The reason I celebrated, and I still clarify, is because he's on my fantasy team. My fantasy team has a cheater in Ronel Blanco. We've got a really bad person in Marcell Ozuna. I don't know what I'm a pretty bad GM now. I'm thinking. I think my team is winning, and we have a lot of scandals on my team.
You think your team hubris caught up with you?
I feel like it might have. Like I'm wondering if maybe
close to the sun.
I think I did.
Because I'm surging out of the basement. Just get ready.
I don't know if I'm that.
Pitching staff's really coming together.
That's
the carpet, the rug, it really ties the room together. What movie, Renee? The Rug.
Adam Sandler.
No, The Big Lebowski. It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm sorry for your loss last night, though. I know Marcell.
It's fine because at the end, what I'm learning is I can have it both ways. I can have my cake and eat it too. Because you can have a game like yesterday where the Phillies win. Alec Bohm moves to the all-time MLB RBI leader. I'm sorry, not all-time. Who knows? Maybe it could be. All MLB leader for this season. And then on top of that, on the other side, I still had some of my guys like Corey Seager, who got me some great points. So as long as the Phillies keep winning and my guys do well, their teams don't have to win. I don't want their teams to win. I don't want to see the Rangers, the Braves, or the Dodgers win. I just want my guys to do well and they lose. So there it is. That's how it works.
Good news for you, Renee. Just so your Alec Bohm all-time RBI watch list that apparently you've got now. He only needs 1,997 more RBI to catch Hank Aaron.
That's doable.
Well, there was a tweet from Matt Breen
I made that number up. Hank Aaron has 2,297. Alec Bohm has 283.
So Matt Breen had a tweet last night.
All time. He's young.
Alec Bohm, at this point in the season, Ryan Howard, when he had, 129 RBIs, Tyler, or maybe 148, whatever one of the big seasons was, at this point in the season, Alec Bohm and Ryan Howard are tied. And that was like the most RBIs, I think, in Phillies history that Ryan had. So he's on a good trajectory here to... I mean, it's like Ranger Suarez, and
yes,
it's like, can both of these guys keep it going? All signs point to yes so far.
That is the exciting thing because right now it absolutely feels like there's, they're not slowing down. The numbers are legit, and I know I said it. Are we good? Good? Are we just good? That's a song, and I know you don't know that song.
No,
we ain't good.
Miley
Good,
Cyrus?
But we just maybe if anybody gets in the chat, I will stop singing.
Ryan Howard, 149, 136, 146, 141.
Woo. Only 136 RBI in
2007.
Come on, man.
What a bump.
Man.
It's a terrible year. 47 home runs, 136 RBI, not great.
One of those seasons.
So I want to just clarify before we even get into the numbers. I think there's something else that's really important that I want to throw out there. We've talked about their success in early parts of the game. The Phillies have notoriously been outscoring their opponents in the first inning. Of course, that was not the case last night. They're usually the ones that get on the scoreboard first. It's like double the league, almost double the league average for first inning runs scored. Another thing that I've been paying attention to, and I wish there was an easier way to keep a stat on this, is how many times the Phillies give up a run and then score a run in the next inning or even the next half inning where, top of the fourth inning, for example, they give up a run and bottom of the fifth, they're scoring. There have been so many games we've seen them, and yesterday was another great example of that. Both runs the Rangers scored, the Phillies respond back almost immediately.
Yeah, pretty much
they
immediately.
don't allow anybody to really get any sort of like confidence going, any runs rattled off. It's not like in the past where we've seen one run might lead snowball into like 3-4 runs that you're giving up. the majority of their games, they give up a run and they're turning right around and responding. This team is responding really well. Even losses, we talked about it. They haven't lost back-to-back, knock on wood. It was the Red Series in April 20-something, and then the first 2 series that I know, Jamie, you feel like don't count.
Well, just the
but
Braves
overall,
series,
this series, I mean, when you look at their series success, it's because they don't lose back-to-back. They're not giving up runs in back-to-back innings. So the little things, that's what's helping when you look at these numbers that Alec Bohm and Ranger Suarez and, you know, the way the guys are playing right now. I think it's because this team responds well. Like, they get punched in the mouth and they come back, pop, pop. Hitting you with a 1-2.
Yeah, the offense has been clutch, but I think the pitchers, and we've talked about this, how like even on nights when they don't have their best stuff, they still grind and battle for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Rangers started out really hot last night, 5 Ks for the first 6 batters.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the third and the fourth, he seemed to kind of have a more laborious inning and you know, threw a little bit more pitches, allowed a run, a couple base runners. And then after that, shut it down again.
Exactly.
So he provides the offense the opportunity to get going. But if it's not for Ranger and Sanchez has done it, Nola has done it, like the whole staff has done it, they'll have their slip up inning and then they bear down, they get through it, they get out of it. And then somebody offensively, and the beauty of this team is the wealth is spread around. It's somebody different all the time.
Exactly.
But the one constant is Alec Bohm. I mean, Ranger Suarez and Alec Bohm are just absolutely incredible right now.
Incredible is definitely a great way to describe them.
We're going to need a cigarette for these Ranger
We've got lots
stats.
of numbers. I know. We've got lots of numbers to get into.
Let's fire them up.
It is very impressive. I want to give some love to our friends that are in the YouTube chat. For those that are tuning in on Twitter, make sure you're subscribing on YouTube as well, or even just join the conversation on Twitter. But I see on YouTube, we've got Chris Slemmer, of course, first in the chat. Listen, the positive vibes and the excitement is there. K-Red, Jen Italia. What's up, Jen? Saying, good morning, everyone. Darth Pooh, Mike Fuji. Listen, everybody's happy. As Mike is saying, the Fighting Phils are rolling. It's good vibes because they're constantly winning. South Jersey D, I think it is. South Jersey D.
We say South Jersey D.
Saying Bohm for MVP. We're even going to get into that. Cy Young, All-Star, MVP. These are the types of conversations the Phillies are putting themselves into
for the National
at this
League.
point.
Starting third baseman Alec Bohm.
You look at right now the fact that the team has increased their odds of winning the division coming into today from a 6.9% on opening day to 43.8% entering today. That's according to Fangraphs. For the chances of the Phillies winning the division. The numbers are increasing because of the fact that they have now been able to really put themselves in a great spot. A 5-game lead in the division against the Braves heading into yesterday, which is their largest since the final game of the 2011 season. The Phillies have never been 5 games ahead of anybody in the NL East since 2011, guys. And a big part of that is the fact that they have been able.
It's 6 now too.
And now it is
so it's 5+. Yeah,
exactly.
Thank
5+.
you,
Even
Braves,
better
for losing.
A big part of that
Thank
is
you, Cubs,
you win
actually.
5.
CHGO with the walk-off last night.
That is true. That was quite a win for them. You look at the fact they've had 5 straight wins, and they've won 27 in their last 33 games. And going into last night to have a 2.63 ERA as a pitching staff. Whew. Compared to last year's, which was a 4.87 at this point of the year. 4.87 by this point of May, prepping, pre-Memorial Day weekend. And going into last night, a 2.63 for the starting rotation, excuse me.
So,
and a big part of that is obviously Ranger.
So their 2.63 staff ERA would come in at 16th in baseball.
Wild.
In terms of individuals.
Wild.
Their team rotation ERA would be the 16th best individual ERA in baseball. That is fucking crazy.
It's insane. These are wild numbers. 2.63
as a staff. I mean, you're talking about 6 pitchers too. The odds of being in a sub-3 ERA out of 6 pitchers is hard to fathom.
Mm-hmm.
16th in baseball as a staff.
Man.
I kind of just broke my own brain with that one. I mean, if it's not for Rangers, what is it? 1.37 now?
1.36.
1.36 now. I mean, he really sinks that down. Turnbull did an amazing job keeping that number low. Zach Wheeler is phenomenal. Aaron Nola's getting better now as the weeks pass on. And then Taijuan Walker's got a shot at the Texas Rangers today. So, I mean, it's just a remarkable rotation when you look at those numbers.
It is a lot of fun to watch when you look at the rotation. So let's start with Ranger Suarez, the most exciting part of all the things that's happening right now with the Phillies, pitching-wise, because Ranger's at a point now where he continues to be composed. He continues to, every time he's asked post-game about his success, he's like, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing what I can to help my team win. And Ranger, you are absolutely helping the Phillies win. To now have a 9-0 start, a 1.36 ERA, second lowest ERA across baseball, absolutely a Cy Young candidate, and across 7 innings, yet again, another game the Phillies starting pitcher was able to go 7 innings. What is that? 4 games in a row now, 17 games on the season. And in that stretch, to be able to solidify himself in history amongst some incredible names when you look over the years. So the only other AL or NL pitchers to go a sub 1.50 ERA through 10 starts. So he's the first pitcher to do this with a sub 1.50 ERA through 10 starts since Hall of Famer Juan Marichal in 1966.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Only other AL or NL pitchers to do so since earned runs became official back in 1912, because let's remember, there was a time it wasn't. Hall of Famer Walter Johnson and Cy Falkenberg, both in 1913. The amazing thing about Ranger is a lot of his historic numbers have to be traced back over a century for when we last saw this happen. That is remarkable to see that in 10 starts, you're 9-0, and you're making history that we haven't seen in forever. Of course, in terms of the franchise itself, the third lowest ERA through 10 starts because he's chasing the record set up by Grover Cleveland Alexander, another Hall of Famer, who had through 10 outings a 1.24 ERA in 1916 and a 1.31 ERA in 1915. So Ranger Suarez is chasing some history for the Phillies organization, but also for Major League Baseball. And the numbers that he's had are incredible. He did get a no decision in the first game that he pitched against the Braves. That is the only blemish, weird part of I guess you can say, his start. But a no decision on the first game, and ever since then, he's been 9-0, 9 straight wins, and you now are in the conversation of having the lowest ERA in the last 58 years. Yes. To wear a Phillies jersey.
Somebody needs to hit Shota Imanaga and justify Ranger Suarez as the undeniable best pitcher in baseball right now. It is just ridiculous. I mean, 5 strikeouts last night in the first 6 batters. He's going to throw 5 or 6 different pitches at you in any count, in any situation. And I saw MLB Network was talking about it this morning. It's like batters are just not comfortable in the box versus him. Because he'll throw anything anywhere, and he's always around the strike zone. It's rare you see him miss bad. This guy is just locked the hell in, and everything has a chance of being a strike. And hitters are just on their toes. They're uncomfortable. He's got strikeout stuff. He's got command. He knows how to pitch. He knows how to field. This guy is beyond my wildest expectations, and I've been a big Ranger fan from the jump. I thought this guy has shown you big cojones on the mound. Tyler and I in our previous lives of our careers used to talk about Ranger all the time. And this guy's got a chance. He kind of throws like a sneaky 94, 95. I remember when he was first coming up, and I like the guy. I didn't think this was in the cards.
I know.
To get this out of your number 3 starter is just insane. Teams would kill to have that anywhere on the rotation right now, let alone in the 3 spot. It's an embarrassment of riches. It's really cool. I like it.
It's fun to watch now because
it's good to be a Phillies fan right now.
It is. And to see him get, for the second time in his career, 10 Ks last night, as you mentioned, through the first 6, he already had locked in 5. Ranger Suarez is playing on a different level right now, and the numbers that he's posting are remarkable. And the best part about it is we had a feeling this would happen when he started mentioning he wants to be able to pitch over 200 innings. He's feeling good. He was healthy to start off the season, which is something that was a major change when you look at recent years. And for Ranger Suarez to be able to consistently now bring this high level, obviously Bryce Harper's been praising about how much this team wants to keep winning for him. They want to get that 10th win, 11th win for Ranger to keep this streak going. Rob has been, mind-boggled about it. And even the Rangers had talked about how they've spent time having meetings about how they can attack Ranger Suarez. And regardless, they had no answers. There was no way to, be able to get even hits on Ranger. He's unhittable at times. And so, Ranger Suarez continues to have some history that he's making. Now, according to OptiStats, there are 4 major league pitchers in baseball's modern era, going back to 1901, that have had a whip of .72 in their first 8 starts with their team winning all 8. Of course, Ranger Suarez is one of them. The others, Christy Mathewson in 1901, Addie Joss in 1907, and Mordecai, Mr. Three Finger Brown in 1908. Yeah. They all pitched in baseball's dead ball era. And
dysentery was still around with polio, so that doesn't even compute in my brain. Modern medicine wasn't even around. There was still cocaine in Coke bottles back then. That almost doesn't even count. Basically, what you just said is Ranger Suarez is the greatest pitcher to ever grace us in the modern era of baseball. That's what I just heard.
Basically.
I mean, cocaine Coke bottles?
Well, again, to have had...
Come on, Christy.
Every
Were you
number...
drinking a couple of those Cokes before the game, pal? What about you, Mordecai? What are you drinking before the game?
Three Finger Brown was definitely.
Yeah, how do you think he lost those 2 fingers?
Oh no,
I have no idea. Actually, probably a wood chipper, maybe an axe.
Oh no, that's so mean.
Well, I mean, people were still, didn't Abe Lincoln lose a finger, or was that George Washington? Somebody lost a finger with an axe.
Don't talk about my great Uncle George.
I have to say this.
Where are you at, Tyler?
I'll be here. I'll be here.
I don't see you, Oz. There you are.
I have to say this because you brought it up. Wikipedia says,
"Oh no!
Due to a farm machinery accident in his youth, Brown lost 2 fingers on his right hand."
Because I watched Ken Burns baseball recently, and I think that came up that it was a farm equipment. That was common back then.
That was common.
That's how long ago it was.
That's how long.
Ranger ain't working. Well, actually, maybe he does. He likes chickens. Remember, Jonathan Papelbon told us he's his South American. What did he call him? His South American cowboy or something like that. He's like, he likes chickens. I like chickens. So maybe Ranger does get on the farm and use the equipment. Be careful, Ranger.
Please be careful. And it's sad that we were joking about people losing their fingers, but if you want to be able to block out the haters, Three Finger Brown, you can do that with Shady Rays and get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Now, Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company. They offer world-class products, and if you don't believe us, they have 300,000 plus people that have given them 5 stars. Their shades have durable frames, they're crystal clear optics, and they make the perfect choice as you're getting ready to explore outdoors and take in the beautiful weather that is now summertime coming up. It is almost Memorial Day weekend. We want to be out on the beach. We want to be out hiking. We want to be just outside, period. And with Shady Rays, they have hundreds of options to choose from that allow you to be able to enjoy hanging outside and keeping those nice premium polarized shades on your face. Because with Shady Rays, they also protect you. If you need to exchange your Shady Rays at any point, if you lose or break them, they make sure to help protect you by providing you with replacements. I don't know many places that do that. I lost sunglasses many times. I've lost them. And I never got a replacement. But with Shady Rays, I would have gotten a replacement right away. And if you even don't love your pair of shades, they can replace them as well. They've got a return worry-free within 30 days. They also want to just make sure that you're not feeling like you have, any risks when you buy with Shady Rays. Because if you don't like them or you lose them or you break them, Shady Rays will help you get a new pair ready to rock and roll outside. So exclusively for our listeners today, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. That's right, the best. You can head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY to get 35% off polarized sunglasses. You can try them for yourself and check out the shades that are ranked 5 stars. 5 stars are rated by over 300,000, over 30,000, over 100,000, over 300,000 people.
It's a lot more.
That have given them 5 stars. 300,000. I misread the 0. So check them out today at shadyrays.com and use that code PHLY. 300,000.
That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And let me tell you about, we continue talking about Ranger, and we'll get into some more numbers with him because I've dug up some of the advanced numbers on his stuff, and it's filthy. But if you want to take that information and go to BetParks and, hop on, when we first started talking about Ranger on the BetParks Sportsbook, he was plus 10,000 to win the Cy Young. I think we started talking about it after his third start, where it was like, I don't know, this might be worth a flyer. He was plus 10,000. Currently today, he's second in the NL Cy Young futures at plus 400. The guy ahead of him, Zach Wheeler, plus 200. But whatever it is you want, whether it's the American League MVP, NL MVP, division winners, which the Braves are still the favorites to win the division on BetParks right now. You can get the Phillies to win the NL East for plus 110, which is a pretty good bet for how hot the Phillies are. Of course, basketball is in action tonight at 8:30 with the Dallas Mavericks and Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are a 4-point home favorite. So whatever the action is you're looking for, BetParks has got you covered. Money is in the moments. Win big with all-day action. Win your first $10 bet and earn $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet with BetParks. Download the app and play along with us. Must be 21 or older. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right. Well, we're going to get into more later. We've, of course, got Jim Salisbury joining us in less than 10 minutes. So we got to rattle off some of these quick numbers, Jamie. We'll be talking more about tonight's matchup, Taijuan Walker, of course, some injury updates for you guys around Trey Turner. But first, let's put a bow on these Ranger Nuggets, because I know you love your Ranger. I do. You've been Team Ranger forever.
We got to get a Ranger shirt going on.
We do. You've got some numbers on Ranger, and I've got some. I'll let you read yours first, though.
Yeah, so some of the advanced breakdown of particular pitches and stuff with Ranger. One of the reasons he's just so dominant this year is his ground ball rate. And he's, I think, second in all of baseball in the ground ball rate. But more specifically with his sinker and curveball, which is really keeping guys on their toes with him because of how much it breaks. He's getting a 65% ground ball rate on those two pitches, which is absolutely filthy. And you kind of saw it last night with the Rangers, and maybe I'll ask Jim about this. It almost looked like they studied him well, and in the first couple innings were just like trying, I don't want to say flail because it makes it sound like they were like out of their shoes uncomfortable, but they were like just trying to like get the bat head around on stuff that was breaking. Like they just seem to kind of be lunging at stuff and like throwing the bat at it. And I think it's a credit to Ranger because it's not like you're getting hard contact off a Ranger this year. He's so deceiving with his 6 pitches that'll throw: the fastball, curveball, cutter, changer, slider, and sinker. You never know what's coming. You can never really get comfortable. You're not getting hard contact on him. His spin rate is up this year on his sinker. In terms of his walk rate, he's decreased it in half while increasing his K rate from 22 to 26.5%. Guys are just absolutely struggling with him this year, and it's a credit to Ranger because a lot of his velocity is dipped some, but it's almost like he's mentally unlocked how to pitch. Right. And that's a scary thing for a guy with stuff and command that he has. So as long as the ground ball rate stays where it is, I really think this guy, isn't going to fall off a cliff the remainder of the year.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's continuing to make it so difficult for batters.
And he's contact,
he's unpredictable. Exactly. He's unpredictable. Guys have no idea how to hit against him. I mean, coming into last night, batters were hitting a 1.03 against Ranger Suarez. And even though teams like the Rangers actually admitted they spent a lot of time trying to game plan for Ranger, you cannot plan because you don't know exactly. You don't know what he's going to throw your way. And I know even as Rob Thompson was talking about, like, the best thing about him is it's not like he's lighting up the radar gun, is what Rob said. He's old school, and he's going to bring the command with the baseball. He's going to work fast. He's going to change speeds. And Rob is saying how that makes it fun for him to watch. That's the thing. You don't know what he's throwing your way. And that is why in over 61 innings that Ranger has now pitched, he's only allowed 7 earned runs in those outings. And he, of course, is in some more rare territory that we have seen, because the only other pitchers that have won 9 straight games while giving up 7 earned runs or fewer. Now, this list is a little bit longer. Going back to 1959, Hoyt Wilhelm.
Hoyt. Guys were still getting named Hoyt.
1961, Warren Spahn. 1968 was Bob Gibson and Steve Blass. In 1974 was Gaylord Perry.
We say Gaylord.
In 92 was Cal Eldred. In 2004, Johan Santana. And then the most recent was in 2018 with Blake Snell. So that list has 4 Hall of Famers and 2 others that are 2-time Cy Young Award winners in that list that Ranger has cemented himself in. So you look at the continuous numbers. I know we can't share enough about it, but most importantly, I love that Ranger continues to say, I just enjoy the results. I just enjoy the wins. The next day after that, I forget about it, and I'm focused on my next start. Like, these are the types of things that you're hearing from Ranger Suarez. He's not getting too caught up in the moment. He's just going out, as he mentions, continuing to do his job, which is remarkable. So happy to see this for Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, it's really, it's kind of, like, is this real?
Yeah.
Like, he's that good. After the game last night, I got the email from the Phillies, and I was just like skimming the notes and the stats and like, going on. I was just searching Ranger Suarez and Twitter and like looking at all the information out there on him, and it doesn't seem real. And I talked about it in the Bet Parks read, but the top 2 Cy Young candidates, as great as Showtime Minaga has been for the Cubs, the top 2 Cy Young candidates right now on Bet Parks are Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez.
Man,
that is, like, we haven't seen that since Doc and Cliff, where you've had that dominant of 2 guys, and we have it, and it makes for a really fun summer and a really fun baseball season.
It definitely does. It definitely does. Happy that we are having these conversations and being able to talk about these historic moments, because when you look at the fact that he's really in conversations of like Addie Joss in 1907 and Mordecai Three-Finger Brown in 1908. These are guys that you have to look over 100 years, so much that their lives in themselves are like incredible to learn about. I know, Tyler, I want to let you hit on this nugget about Mordecai.
That's totally different. I was going to tell you, guys were talking about...
Which person is this?
This is you were talking about Ranger and Wheeler being 1-2. Do you guys know how many times over the course of Major League Baseball history since the Cy Young Award was implemented that teammates finished 1 and 2?
How many times?
In the Cy Young Award, yes.
I want to say twice.
It's a little more than twice.
Okay.
4 times.
It's happened 5 times in Major League Baseball. The most recent was the 2019 Astros. Justin Verlander won the award. Garrett Cole finished 2nd.
Oh, right.
Before that, you've got to go back to, here's your pairings. 2002, maybe you've heard of these guys. Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
2001, Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then you got to go back to 1974 to get to Mike Marshall and Andy Messersmith of the Dodgers. And
those aren't real people.
The first one, the first group to do it, 1956, was Don Newcomb and Sal Magley.
Wow.
I mean, that's rarefied air to be in a group of 5 tandems over the course of, since the Cy Young was implemented, 75 years ago.
Yeah, and what does it say about Zach Wheeler that he's still the favorite?
Right.
I guess it
really
just means
freaking good.
I believe he has a better chance of doing it the remainder of the season.
Yeah, I think
than
it's a longevity thing. You've seen it with Zach Wheeler over the course of 5 seasons now.
But it also says, damn, he's good, and he's almost getting overshadowed by Ranger.
Yeah, Jamie, it is refreshing to see that we got two guys in a Phillies jersey that are 1 and 2, and also long term, if they can continue this, it's possible.
Yeah. Are you saying refreshing in terms of like Ranger Suarez's performances on the mound lead me to my beer fridge to get a cold, refreshing Miller Lite?
Of course.
Because it's the original light beer since 1975, and to this day, it's still the best one. You know why? Because it tastes like a light beer should taste. It's simple, it's cold, it's refreshing, and it's less filling, the most important part. I know when me and Jim Salisbury eventually get out on the golf links there, we'll have a couple Miller Lights because they're less filling. You're not going to walk around bloated, feeling gross. And it's just, it's delicious. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you other than it's kind of the perfect light beer, whether you're at the ballpark, a barbecue with friends and family, the golf course, whatever it is, Miller Lite is there for you. And one of the beauties of Miller Lite is it's sold pretty much everywhere that beer is sold. It's the original light beer since 1975, and to this day, still the best one because they keep it simple. They get rid of the stuff you don't need and hold on to what matters most. You don't have to choose what's best because Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling, and it tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY-Phils, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Yes, and we want you guys to make sure you're always making the right choices with your decisions of where you're going to spend your money. And you can do that over at Rite Aid because they've got everything they need to help you make sure you're making the right decisions for you and for your family. Whether it's having to run in to get that birthday card or needing some new makeup and hair products or wanting to get a snack, they've got a great candy section. They also have a great summer section of any sort of beach things you may need and sunblock and pool floats and things like that over at Rite Aid. And as we are getting closer and closer to Memorial Day weekend, you want to also make sure you're protecting you and your family with any sort of allergies that may be lingering. They've got over-the-counter medication, but they also have all you need around vaccines because over at Rite Aid, they have Rite Aid pharmacists, specially trained, ready to answer any questions you may have regarding which vaccines you need, making sure you're staying up to date. They've got a variety of vaccines that you can make sure you're making an appointment to get. COVID-19, the flu, shingles, whooping cough, tetanus. Because in modern medicine, Rite Aid has all you need to make sure that you're taking care of you and your loved ones. And if you are interested and want to find out more, you can check out their information on riteaid.com. You can schedule an appointment there as well, or you can walk in. It's very convenient for you. I love being a Rite Aid Rewards member because I can find a Rite Aid on any corner. I can get in there. They've got great prices. They've got great selections. And now when you go to any Rite Aid store, they also, as they have those dedicated pharmacists, they also have people there ready to help make sure they can answer any questions you have because no question is too small. If you're unsure of what you need, if you're nervous to even ask questions, or you're just curious about which vaccines make sense for which age for your little ones, a Rite Aid pharmacist will take the time to make personalized recommendations based on your health, history, and discuss any concerns. So no questions are too small. Head over to your Rite Aid today. You can walk in or schedule an appointment Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. State, age, and health restrictions may apply. And of course, ask a Rite Aid pharmacist for details. All right, so it is Wednesday. We had a chance to see Ranger take the mound. And by the way that it always works out, with a successful start and win for Ranger Suarez means we get to bring in our buddy Jim Salisbury. You can't have Ranger Suarez success without being able to chat with Jim here on the show. Jim, yet again, here we are talking about all the history that Ranger made and the remarkable thing that we've been discussing. You have to look back 100 plus years for some of the records that he's setting and the numbers that he's pitching at. But again, another win for Ranger, 10 Ks on the night, the second time in his career he's done that. And of course, now being a Cy Young favorite. What are your thoughts on Ranger Suarez as an all-star, a Cy Young favorite, and to just continue this success throughout the remainder of the season, most importantly?
Yeah, he's become entertainment tonight. It's like I used to say that about Ryan Howard all the time, that Ryan Howard was a hold it player. And by that, I mean, if you had to go to the bathroom, you held it when he came to the plate. You didn't want to miss it. Ranger Suarez is becoming that for 7 or 8 innings every 5th day. He's a lot of fun. Love to see him attack the strike zone with that deep mix of pitches and effective mix of pitches. And he ain't just blowing people away. He's really, out thinking them and out executing them. And as for your questions about Cy Young, too early. But, here we are basically 2 months in, just about 2 months in. And if you want to call him a favorite, I think you can absolutely do that. One of the 2 or 3 favorites in that group. If he keeps this up for another 4 months, you're probably going to see him raise that trophy. As far as I think the All-Star game question is probably more timely because we're kind of barreling down the pike toward that. And you're going to see him, depending on how the Phillies schedule shapes up, you're going to see him in the conversation to start that game, and deservedly so. At the very least, I think you'll see him at that game, in that game, with a couple more good ones. He might be there already.
Jim, to you, what's been the most impressive part about Ranger? We just went through some of the advanced numbers on his curveball and sinker. He's getting a 65% ground ball rate. He's second in baseball in ground ball rate. And I think you almost saw it with the Rangers last night in their approach to him. It was like just kind of try to get the bat head around through the zone and almost like flail at it. I think it's a credit to him that he's so deceiving. He'll throw 6 pitches. Guys don't really know how to approach him in the box. What's been the most impressive, like, singular thing about Ranger this year to you?
I don't have one thing because I'd have to give you 5 or 6 things, and it probably all leads back to the fact that he's a quote unquote pitcher who has a deep mix of pitches and can locate pretty much every one of them. The soft contact is huge. I mean, to me, there's this in the baseball world we live in today, there's a real emphasis on missing bats. But, there was a time where I heard great baseball men tell me you can't be afraid of contact. Ranger Suarez is not afraid of contact. But what he does is he keeps it on the ground or it's soft. And he does that by the old-fashioned way, by upsetting hitters' timing, with location, with movement, by keeping it off the barrel of the bat, by the hitter is thinking about what you're going to do and he is game planned for you, but you're a step ahead of him. You're going to do something different. So he is pure pitcher. And he's not just 1, 2, or 3 pitches. He's like 5 or 6. He can, on any given night, something's working better than the other. He can ride that. And then the minute you start adjusting to it, he can switch and go to another place. But the location, the way he can pinpoint a pitch on a right-hander's hands and then go away with something soft is really impressive. And dare I say the intangibles, you're in the center of the diamond. You have 43,000 sets of eyes on you. You have that other dugout on you, everybody on TV. And, he looks like he's honestly in the backyard pitching BP to his nephew. He's that poised, and he's been that way all along. I mean, when he came up, he was kind of a straight liner, kind of shrugged, didn't think too much, big smile, happy to be there, no stress, no heartbeat, whatever cliche you want to use. But now he's backed up that great intangible with good health, with experience, with the maturation of talent. And that's why we're discussing him as a Cy Young candidate if things continue to go the way they're going. And a potential All-Star game starter. Who do we owe for
Ranger? Is that Rube and his scouts?
What's that?
Who do we owe for Ranger? Is that Ruben Amaro and his scouts there? Like, who
he came in the I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up the year he signed, if it was Ruben's but Ruben was there in that front office. And so Ranger was a soccer player in Venezuela. A young soccer player, a gifted soccer player, loves soccer. He's always running around in a Union shirt in the outfield, in the afternoon getting his workout in. Loves soccer, and probably was a more gifted soccer player. Played, they're actually written quite a bit about this. He was playing town ball, youth ball, and he was an outfielder. And you can kind of imagine him being athletic, going after balls in the outfield. And they were short a pitcher one day and they put him on the mound and he looked like he'd been there forever, apparently. And they said to him, "Hey, you did a good job there. You want to do it again next week?" And that's how he became a pitcher. And whenever, you're signing players and procuring players, player procurement is so huge to an organization. It's a team effort. It's a team effort. And they have some local scouts in Venezuela, associate scouts who work for the team, and always have their antennae out for young, talented players. And Ranger was 15 or 16 when some of the local bird dog type scouts got a whiff of him, kind of put their projection cap on and said, this guy might be something someday. And what they do in turn is they report back to home base, and Sal Agustinelli in those days was the director of international scouting. He had a team. They're in Venezuela all the time. They looked at him. They liked him. And they gave him an opportunity to play professional baseball. He signed at the bargain rate. His signing bonus was $25,000. And now he goes to their academy in Latin America. He comes to the States, and he just continues his growth. I pitched a no-hitter in short season rookie ball, kind of got on a lot of people's radar. I think it was a 7-inning no-hitter, but nonetheless. So everybody liked his pitchability from the beginning. They liked the arm, they liked the intangibles, they liked the athleticism. And to me, he's a real credit to their scouting, their Latin American scouting system, and their player development system. They did a good job laying eyeballs on him, a good job getting him into the system, and a good job developing him. Boom, 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 level by level. Spun his wheels a little bit early in his big league time. But now we're just seeing the accumulation of a lot of good instruction and a lot of people's efforts, including Rangers, but his instructors. And like I said, health, talent, confidence, it's all kind of come together in this season. And I think it's safe to say he's going to be a good one for a while, because he's not max effort. It doesn't look like he's got one of those blowout deliveries, and probably going to make a lot of money as a free agent after 2025. And I don't know what they're talking about upstairs, but I'll tell you what, I bet they have a lot of meetings that include the subject. We got this homegrown guy who's become a great pitcher. He's the next guy we need to think about locking up here before he gets to free agency after 2025. So that's kind of the long and short how they got him. And over the years, they've, their international system has taken some heat because they've never really landed a Soto. They've never landed an Acuna. But I think they've done pretty well on a number of really good players. Sir Anthony Dominguez was a good one. I know he's sputtered a little bit here this year, but he was a find. Carlos Ruiz for $8,000. I mean, the same summer they signed Pat Burrell for $8 million, they signed Carlos Ruiz for $8,000.
Wow.
And they were both world champions. Suarez is another one. And there are others. I mean, Rojas is another one. He's a player who's getting better. We don't know where he's going to go. So good job by a lot of folks on Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, and Jim, as you mentioned, I know in the chat it was also said as well, and our own producer Tyler dropped this nugget. It was Ruben that said on WIP that he credits Sal for finding Ranger. It's just great to see how this organization has been able to develop talent and have homegrowns. As we're talking Ranger Suarez, another one of those talents that at 27 years old is turning a major corner in his career in Alec Bohm. And Bohm this year to be at a batting average of 333, an OPS of 924, but also leading the league in a number of stats offensively, including being at the top of the stats for MLB for RBIs, with 44 coming into today. In the last 7 games, Alec Bohm has had 11 RBIs and just continues to help thrive when there are runners in scoring position. So as we talk about that development, we are seeing the results of the Phillies coaching and development over the years to help guys like Ranger and Alec be ones that now are, as you mentioned, entertainment's must-watch baseball. Alec Bohm's play, though, has been remarkable. And every time he steps up to bat, or even at third base, you feel like you're going to get something great from him. What are your thoughts on just how he's really been able to consistently help the Phillies? I mean, 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position last night. A big part of that is Alec Bohm.
Honestly, Renee, I'm running out of superlatives for Alec Bohm. You mentioned Ranger in comparison to Alec Bohm. Ranger was more a diamond in the rough. I think he required a lot more time in player development. Alec Bohm was a college player at a really good college program in Wichita State. Wasn't even drafted out of high school, but went to Wichita State, had 3 good years, and really didn't just get on people's radar with his performance and his development at the college level. He was the number 3 pick in the country, and he got to the big leagues quickly. So I think he had a lot more polish as a baseball player when he entered the Phillies player development program than Ranger did. That is not to say they haven't done a good job with him in player development. And a lot of it has happened at the big league level, a lot of his development. And I credit Kevin Long, the hitting coach, and his staff, because, it's not just a hitting coach. I mean, I remember the days where there weren't even hitting coaches. Now you have hitting coach staffs, but they've done a really good job. with Alec Bohm, and so has Bobby Dickerson and Larry Boa and the people who instruct their infielders in making him real competent. As Rob Thompson would say, an average major league defender. He's done a really good job on defense, shining up his game and brushing it up. So, but he's turning out to be kind of everything you would expect the number 3 pick in the country to be, everything you would hope the number 3 pick in the country would be. I mean, they spent a really high, valuable pick on this guy, and he's paying off. And, Matt Klentak led baseball operations in those days. And, they drafted Alec Bohm. And I know Matt really liked Alec Bohm because of his ability to, quote, control the strike zone. Matt and his people really liked Bryson Stott because of his ability to control the strike zone. So those draft picks from that regime are both really paying off. But as I mentioned, I'm running out of superlatives for Bohm on both sides of the ball. And he was a gifted hitter coming out of college. And he had some ups and downs along the way as he got into the major league level. For this reason, the major league level is the hardest level of baseball on earth. These guys are really good. And it takes a little bit of time to adjust to this level. It takes a little time to believe you can do it at this level. And he's done that. And one consistent aspect of his game from the time he came to the majors during the pandemic year was his ability to give you a good at bat with runners on base. It kind of fueled his second place finish in the Rookie of the Year voting that year when he was tied with Cronenworth. His ability to hit with runners on base, and it's just gotten better and better and better. Every time he comes up with a runner on base, I expect him to drive him in, and lo and behold, last night he figured out a way to kind of fillet one into right center, drove in a run, drove in another run. He's terrific with runners on base. And he's, you've seen what he's done the last month. You've seen what Bryce Harper's done. He's had this quiet, sneaky, awesome month, Bryce Harper. He's not even like molten yet, and he's going to get there at some point. But,
Alec
Bohm provided him some really quality protection in that cleanup spot with his ability to make really good contact and have really good at bats and be in the back of the mind of that pitcher as they're facing Bryce Harper. Now, if somebody's in the back of your mind when you're facing Bryce Harper and you cut one off or you don't execute it perfectly, Harper's going to hurt you, and that's what he did last night.
Yeah, we mentioned All-Star earlier, and I know the All-Star conversation. I always go back to like 8-year-old Jamie where I'm like, ooh, the All-Star game. I know it means nothing. There's a popularity contest to it and all that. But there's a real chance that Alec Bohm, it's already Memorial Day. We have like a month push leading up to the All-Star game here. There's a real chance Alec Bohm could be your starting third baseman in the NL. I was kind of thinking off the top of the head, Jim, like how many All-Stars do you think the Phillies have? You talked about Bryce, who's top 10 in baseball in RBIs. JT's been hitting the ball really well. Bohm, obviously Wheeler and Ranger. And then you think about guys like possibly a Strom or an Alvarado. They might not have the notoriety, but they're certainly deserving. Are we going to see 6-7 Phillies in this year's All-Star game?
You might see 5, 6, 7. I mean, Strom is a great point. What a season he's having. And sometimes relievers get, short shrift. You'd hate to see that happen because he's been so good. I mean, you talk about procuring players. What a tremendous signing by Dave Dombrowski and Sam Fold, George Volandia, and their analytics crew, and just how they kind of could project what he might become and has become. You could see like every guy who plays on the dirt be there. Harper, Stott, Bohm, and Turner's going to come back here soon enough where he's going to get right back on the bike, and he's going to have enough time to get himself there. Real Muto might be there. So, yeah, it could be like those, 09. I think it was 09 after they won the World Series. Charlie was managing, and he was going to bring his coaching staff. They had such a huge presence at the All-Star game at 09. I think it was in Anaheim. They had such a large presence that they chartered their own airplane to get everybody to the All-Star game. They had such a crew of Phillies. So, they could have a big crew again because Ranger, Wheeler,
Yeah.
Strom, and then
Mhm.
everybody in the infield maybe. And, you know, you never know, JT could be there. And, you know, you mentioned geeking out in the All-Star game when you were a kid. I used to do the same thing. My favorite thing on the All-Star game, because I'm older than you, and I was growing up a little bit before ESPN, um, and before the saturation of every night something was on
Sure.
TV. And I used to love to see the different uniforms,
Oh
because
yeah.
I kind of grew up near an American League team near Boston. And I used to love to see it because the National League was known for having more colorful uniforms. And I
Mhm.
used to love to see the Phillies in their light blues. And I love to see the Cardinals. And the only time you could kind of, and the Padres with kind of
The
their mustard and
Pirates and the
brown,
painters hats, you know,
the
like
painters hats. And the National League always seemed to have a little more sizzle and
a little
spice.
flair.
Yeah, now they wear all those homogenized uniforms,
I
and
wish they'd go back
Uh,
too.
oh, I can't stand them. I just,
Yeah.
I guess it's about selling merchandise, but
I guess.
you know, I love the road grays or the road light blues, and the home pinstripes or the home whites. And you know, I used to love the All-Star game, and it seems like now you got some guys bowing out, some guys opting
Mhm.
for rest.
And Jim, you didn't even hit on the best part. The ballots at the stadium with the punch holes. I
Yeah.
mean, that was my youth. I
Oh, I
love
used
those
to
things.
do the punch outs at Fenway Park, and then I remember passing them down the aisle, and the usher would collect them, and it was such a thrill to do an all-star ballot. Now everything's pretty much online.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I guess the computers have made the world a lot better,
I
I
but
guess.
guess.
there's
I
some things I
guess.
really miss. And ticket
I,
stubs. I mean, I have ticket
yeah.
stubs. I have ticket stubs. I should show you. I have ticket stubs, two of them from the 1975 World Series,
Wow.
um, which was maybe the greatest World Series
Was
ever. The
that
Red Sox,
Yastrzemski? Yeah, that was Yastrzemski.
Yastrzemski, and Carlton Fisk, Game 6, and the Reds, Joe Morgan, Tony Perez, Pete
Wow.
Rose, Johnny Bench, Freddie Lynn, Rico Petrocelli, Yastrzemski, Carlton Fisk. But I have two ticket stubs, and I wish I had them with me. The prices on one of them was $12.50, and the
Whoa.
price on the other one was
Oh
$7.50.
my
Can you believe
goodness.
that?
Yeah, I
I'll have to
wish.
find those and show them to you.
Yeah, bring those next time if you can, for sure.
But
That
now there's
is,
no stubs.
I know. I have all my dad's stubs and I
yeah.
collected stubs and it's a lost art. It's sad.
Oh, man. Not all things change for the better, that's for sure. But Jim, we do appreciate you so much, as always, for taking time to join us. Always so nice to catch up with you and get your thoughts on the team. And also looking forward to seeing those ticket stubs, hopefully next show.
I'll show you. I got to find them, and I got some from a couple other World Series. But yeah, hey, some of that memorabilia is really nice
Yes,
Yeah.
it
to
definitely
hang
is.
on to. I wish I was more diligent in hanging on to things. I somewhere in my house, I have the scorecard from Halliday's
Oh.
playoff no hitter
Wow.
and against Cincinnati, and the last box is not filled in. The famous play by Ruiz when it almost hit the bat with Brandon Phillips, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh my God, to hit the bat!" And I didn't fill in the last box because as soon as I saw Ruiz make that throw to Howard, and I jumped up from my seat and I raced down to the clubhouse, and I didn't even take the time to fill in the last box.
That's
And then
great.
when I went to the press box and I was going to fill it in, I said, "Nah, I'm just going to stick it in a book." It's in a book somewhere. And so is Cole Hamels no hitter in his last start in Wrigley Field.
Wow.
But I don't know what I did with the perfect game in Miami. I don't know what I did with that scorecard. Oh well.
Yeah.
Next, yes, let's see what you can find. We'll have to have you on for some show and tell. Definitely.
Jim Salisbury show and tell here
Exactly.
on PHLY.
Yeah.
Love
I'm
it.
sorry. I go off on these. You guys
No, I
must.
love
No,
it,
it's
Jim.
great.
I go off on these tangents. You must be like, shut this guy up.
No, it's great. This is exactly why we love having you here, to weigh in on the greatness that we're seeing today, but also sharing some nuggets of, you know, some of the good old days of how things used to be, especially those prices. We would love to have those prices back. But Jim, we look forward to having you back on with us very shortly. As always, thank you again, and keep up the tremendous work you're doing. Your pieces with us here at PHLY, but just in general, all of your coverage is always fun to see. So thank you, Jim.
Have a great day. Enjoy this great weather.
Yeah, see you,
Yes,
Jim.
you as well. Happy Memorial Day weekend to you.
Yeah,
Jim.
the weather is great.
It is. And as Jim was talking through Stromboli, Matt Strom, one of my bullpen guys on my squad. He has had a fantastic season so far. The hitless, the streak continues for him. Of course, yesterday, not giving up a single hit. He's only given up across this season so far 13 hits, 2 earned runs. And then Jose Alvarado, birthday guy yesterday, he had a nice birthday save, his 9th save of the season. Great to see Jose Alvarado get to enjoy his birthday to lock up the Phillies win. But, of course, Jamie, as we're talking through all the excitement of what's going on with the Phillies, there is one guy that we're excited to see, and not just for promposals, but for the way that he is slowly heating up a little bit. So we're going to get into let's get into a little bit about Bryce Harper. This segment, our Shady Rays, the Future is Bright segment, is brought to you by Shady Rays. You can head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY at checkout for 35% off polarized sunglasses. The future is bright for Bryce Harper, and the near future is even brighter because you look at Bryce Harper's numbers. He's got 11 home runs, 36 RBIs on the season. Both of those are tied for 8th across Major League Baseball, batting at a .280 average and a .924 OPS. And Bryce Harper in the last 3 games has had either a home run or an RBI in each of those games. We're seeing him, the production is coming together, the bats are coming together, and it feels like we're getting Bryce Harper, as we talk about. Summer Bryce is really when you get him going. Of course, last season, because he was injured, it obviously was the summertime that he finally got going. But this year, feels like he's right on track for having some of the best numbers we've seen, honestly, in his career, if he can continue this.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. Jim just mentioned it. Like, he's one of the best in baseball right now without even being, like, molten lava hot.
Mm-hmm.
His average is 32nd in baseball. His home run total is tied for 8th. His RBI total is tied for 8th. And his OPS is 14th in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's him not sustaining a 2-week run where he's just absolutely carrying the team. When Schwarber and Harper do come around at that level where they literally just put a team on their back and carry them, this Phillies team could possibly be even better. But Bryce Harper, at age, what is he, 31? He'll be 32 this fall. Yeah, the future is still bright because, there's no end in sight. You do worry about that back flare up from time to time, but getting him out of right field should help alleviate some of that. You have the ability now with some of the other guys that have stepped up, i.e. Cody Clemens, whose future is bright, to give him a day off. Alec Bohm can give him a day off. The future is still really bright because you have a lot of years left, and this guy's best baseball is like right now. They say a player's prime is kind of 27 to like 34, and Bryce Harper's right smack dab in the middle of it, so you still have a couple bright years ahead with Bryce Harper.
Smack dab in the middle.
Thank you for choosing us, Bryce.
Yes, and just to give you guys context, as we talk about the 11 home runs, 36 RBIs. Of course, last season he was obviously injured to start off the season, but did finish with 21 home runs and 72 RBIs. 2022, 18 home runs and 65 RBIs. And even in the highest for Bryce was 35 to 42 home runs that he had in a season, and roughly 100 to 114 RBIs was the highest he's had. So he's already on track to maybe pass some numbers that's been, the best of Bryce Harper in his career, which is great to see because it is only Memorial Day weekend coming up, and Bryce Harper's getting going right now. It feels like we're going to get some really good production from him as you talk about getting molten lava hot. That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, and good work by Tyler there getting the countdown back up in the corner.
Oh, okay. I didn't even mention that Bryce is on my squad. And
you mentioned
Matt Strom.
Yeah, you mentioned Matt Strom.
Well, Stromboli and
your fantasy team.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Yeah, so the countdown's back up.
Have we gotten past one day yet?
Once. We got to 2.
We got to 2.
See, I'm
yes,
good.
one time we got
I'm
to 2.
golden.
If that was an injury clock that was resetting, your staff would be dead.
There's a meme. There's a meme going, and I think it's from Invincible, the like superhero, like adult cartoon superheroes, right? And the thing says, whatever the question is, and the guy responds with, "That's the neat part. You don't." And I always think of Renee as like, when does the countdown get to 1? That's the neat part. It doesn't.
Well, you guys, it's not my fault. My team continues to have guys, as we're talking about, You know what's going to be interesting? When we get to the All-Star break and we see how many All-Stars are on my team. The Phillies are going to have a lot of All-Stars, and so is Bryce Betts are washed.
Oh,
We're going to have a ton of All-Stars.
Classic
right
mid-season.
Now,
everybody tally up their fantasy rosters.
I snuck that in.
Right now.
Every All-Star you get is an additional win.
Did you really?
No.
It's not a thing because nobody cares.
Oh, wow, guys. Ouch. But we'll just see. I mean, I'll get a moral, my own personal
I
pat
wish I
on the
could say
back.
the future's bright for your fantasy team, but I really hope it's
Well, the future is bright
dim.
for Bryce Harper, and we are excited to see how he continues to progress this season. That is our Shady Rays, the Future is Bright segment, as we're keeping a close eye on Bryce Harper's numbers. And again, the last 3 games alone, you look at Bryce Harper's production. He had a home run, of course, last night, and he's had 4 RBIs in the last 3 games. He is moving along very nicely, so we'll keep an eye on when Bryce gets really heated up, and it's going to be scary times for anybody playing the Phillies. All right, as we wrap up, and we are just heading over the hour.
By the way,
updates.
I have to give a quick shout out to somebody in the chat I haven't seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Krabs, Mr. Eugene Krabs, back in the chat. Good to see you back, Mr. Krabs. We got a lot of our old buddies in there, Mopar and Ray and Dave P and K-Red and John. So shout out to all of you. But good to see Mr. Krabs coming back for the Phillies high that is this season.
Oh, yeah. And I know John McGurk is saying how Bryce is getting hot. He's going to carry them for a while. Then Schwarber's coming in June. Dave P's talking about some guys to keep an eye on. I know John Lemmerman, Ray, K-Red. Appreciate all of you guys. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button in the YouTube chat when you're tuned in. For those on Twitter, head over to the YouTube chat. Join the conversation with our buddies on YouTube. Subscribe and join the fun there. Some quick updates as we wrap up, though. Trey Turner's return. As we have been talking through, he is ahead of schedule, actually.
Yeah.
And so as we have been watching his recovery, he did take batting practice on the field and ran at approximately 80% prior to the game yesterday.
And apparently
he is expected to do the same today.
He hates taking batting practice on the field. I think Matt Gelb had that yesterday in a tweet. He said, this is significant because Trey doesn't like taking batting practice out on the field. I guess he's a Cages guy.
Well, that's so funny because people do have places like I used to hate hitting in the cage. And the reason being is
sight line?
Yeah, it's a sight line thing. Like when a ball leaves your bat and you struck it well, it doesn't matter if you're in a cage or if you're on the field. But there are certain times in BP where you're working on some things. You're working on going opposite field, or you're working on hitting line drives. You're not, you're working on not uppercutting. And there's only a finite amount of space in a cage for it to go. But when you're out on the field, you could go, okay, that logistically could have been a base hit. That was not. That was what I wanted to do. And so I get it. I'm surprised he'd rather hit in the cage. I used to hate taking BP in the cage.
So I think that's Matt Gelb was kind of insinuating like this is a good sign of him being closer than maybe we even think. It might not be the full 6 weeks, yada, yada, yada.
Right. So,
but really good stuff there for Trey.
It is. I mean, he's already been taking ground balls and playing catch, as you mentioned. He does still need to run the bases and go through sliding drills before the team considers sending him on a rehab assignment.
But no rush.
He is expected to go with the team on the West Coast road trip against the Rockies and Giants. That's happening next week. And he's also possibly going to be going with the Phillies to London. Rob has not ruled out him making the trip to London for the 2-game series. For us, for the London 2-game series, you guys can hang with us at Gall & Co. We're going to be doing some live shows. It's at each Gall & Co. location, the Jenkintown one and the Print. What is the other one?
Port Richmond.
Port Richmond one as well. Sorry, excuse me. And so you guys will have a chance to hang with us at Gall & Co. live for each game against the Mets while the Phillies are in London. We're going to be doing some live shows pregame, watch along, postgame. You guys can hang with us. So Trey Turner might be there in London. He is expected to still return early to mid-June. Which is encouraging to see that he's making that progress in getting back.
So now, I believe we'll have some Miller Lite specials and Rockledge and Port Richmond will be inside you. So come hang out with us at Gall & Co.
No. We'll be at Gall & Co. in Port Richmond, and we'll be at Gall & Co. in Jenkintown with some Miller Lite specials. I'm just going to refine that for you.
You can say it that
weird.
way, too.
And you guys can hang with us to have some fun. Miller Lite specials, good food, good vibes.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Beating up on the Mets.
I've been to Gall & Co. before, the Rockledge location. Delicious food. And tomorrow, Renee, we're doing a watch-along, a pregame, a watch-along, a postgame. But guess what? We get treated Gall & Co.'s coming in and bringing us some of that delicious grub. Thanks to our friends at Miller Lite. So Gall & Co., very, very tasty. So we're in for a treat tomorrow during the watch along.
Yes.
You get to see me stuff my face while we watch the Phillies. Hopefully they just take care of the series tonight. But, if they don't, go for the series win tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And another chance to possibly even get a series sweep, because that has also become the norm for the Phillies.
I'm okay with that.
They've gotten, their 14 consecutive unbeaten series. They've gotten 5, sweeps now. I don't have my number in front of me.
That's pretty good.
But yes, so you guys can hang with us tomorrow. 6 sweeps, by the way. 6. You guys can hang with us tomorrow for our pregame, watch along, and postgame show. We will have Gall & Co. in the house with food, but also joining us for the first inning of our watch along to hang on the show with us. And tonight, it's Taijuan Walker back on the mound with that 4.91 ERA and 3-0 record. And of course, we know in his last start against the Mets Thursday, he was only able to pitch 3 1/3 innings before that injured big toe. Never good when you hurt a toe, because it's weird. You don't really notice how much you need your toes until you stub one or you hurt one.
Do you know your pinky, your little toe, is responsible for balance?
I know. If you didn't have a little toe, you'd be falling over.
Yeah,
That's
that wild?
The baby toe.
The little baby toe
literally
is very
lets you
important.
walk.
Yeah.
So he did, of course, suffer that left big toe contusion. He is back. He is starting tonight. And so that part is great to see. He is 2-2 with a 4.12 ERA in 8 career games versus the Rangers. He's had 7 starts against them. And then for the Rangers, they are expected to turn to right-hander Dane Dunning, who has a 4.10 ERA, is 3-2. He is being reinstated from the IL. He was sidelined with a shoulder injury, and he's supposed to be making the return for the Rangers, who have definitely been battered and bruised. My guy, Adolis Garcia, one of those guys who's day-to-day. But Dunning did allow 3.
Your guy.
He's on my fantasy team. Well, I've already had 0, so I might as well just keep going and pile it on.
I think you need to, Tyler, institute negative numbers. Because when she's at 0 and mentions it again, I think we go into negative 1.
You know what's wild is, in the grand scheme of everything, I'm the commissioner of the league. I'm just going to start implementing fines. Penalties to Renee's team.
Wow.
Like they do in the Premier League.
I already have a guy suspended.
Like they do in the Premier League. They take points for teams for misbehavior.
Just keep bumping her down the waiver wire.
I'm just going to start taking points. Yeah, you're always going to be 10th on the waiver wire.
Constantly 10th on the waiver wire.
Well, this is just rude.
Well, there's got to be penalties.
This does not have to be a penalty. You guys already have a counter up here over my shoulder.
By the way, I just saw one more Ranger stat before we get out of here.
Dunning did allow 3 hits over 3 scoreless innings last season in his lone appearance versus the Phillies. That was the other nugget I wanted to say before you guys started attacking my Bryce bets.
Let's get it back to Ranger because he's so adorable.
Okay.
All right. So this is courtesy of Brooksgate on Twitter. There are 3 pitchers dating back to this date last season with 150 innings pitched or more with an ERA under 3. Now, clearly, Ranger is one of them with his 2.97 ERA. I'd be impressed if either of you got the next 2. I would be pretty impressed.
What's the ERA?
Run the question
150
again?
plus innings since this date last year.
Okay.
Sub 3 ERA.
Well,
Garrett. Wait, are they active right?
Garrett Cole is not one of them.
Okay.
Spencer. So 150 to this point?
From this 1 year ago today.
Okay.
150 plus innings to today.
So he hasn't pitched much because of the injury. Is Blake Snell one of them?
Blake Snell is not one of them.
No? Okay.
It's clearly not Spencer because I said his name twice and you didn't respond. Okay.
How about Tarek Skubal?
Nope.
Is it
It's kind of tough.
George Kirby?
Nope.
Brandon Pfaadt?
Nope.
Logan Gilbert?
Nope.
AL or NL?
Cutter?
Both AL.
Both AL.
Not guys that would come off the tip of the tongue in this type of conversation. But I don't think Ranger typically would be if we were doing the show in Chicago.
If we weren't,
you know what I mean?
Right. Addie K,
I will give it to
my BFF
150. Pablo Lopez.
No, not Pablo Lopez. One is 95 South.
Corbin Burns.
Not Corbin Burns, but his teammate.
Kyle Bradish.
Kyle Bradish is one of them.
I alley-ooped that for you.
And the other guy, this organization is having a revival of sorts this year. They play in the Midwest, and they have one of Tyler's favorite players on the team.
Cole Reagans.
Oh.
Not Cole Reagans. Teammate
of Cole Reagans.
Who was in the top 10 this year in ERA.
Why am I blanking?
Seth Lugo.
Oh, he has been quite good.
Kyle Bradish.
You know why I didn't think of him? Because he was with San Diego last year.
Yeah, true. That's fair. But Kyle Bradish, Seth Lugo, Ranger Suarez, only guys since this time last year.
More impressive
150
numbers.
innings, sub 3 ERA.
Wow.
Beast mode.
Beast mode for
Rangers,
sure.
Rangers a stud.
Well, we'll see if Taijuan Walker can return back with all 10 toes feeling good and help the Phillies get their 5th straight win tonight. Let's see also if the attendance is last night, which was 41,083 in attendance on a Tuesday.
Wild.
Pre-Memorial Day, which is higher, just as high as every average across Major League Baseball, except for the Dodgers, whose average is 46,000. So they passed the average for
like
every
fake.
team. I know, but like
You show up in the 5th inning and leave in the 7th. Like, is it even real?
But either way, that number for a late May Tuesday game for the Phillies, 41,000, which is up there amongst the best in league average. So exciting times for the Phillies. Let's see if the good times can keep rolling. Taijuan Walker and the Phillies looking to get 5 in a row tonight. We'll be back live tomorrow again for that pregame watch along and postgame show, hanging with our buddies at Gall & Co. Ooh, that rhymes. And we'll see you back soon, don't you know? Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Go Phillies. See you next time.
We all silly like the mayor.